Hey, welcome back to the Infamous Podcast. This is Brian.
This is Darryl.
And this is a Christmas projection.
Christmas projection?
Well, so the Hawkeye episode is called This is Christmas, and the Expanse episode is called Forced Projection. So I took the last word of both shows, combined them, and made that the title of episode 321.
Okay, because I was just wondering if I was supposed to be seeing something like some type of projection in front of me, and then
I am so incredibly creative with these titles sometimes, Darryl. You have no idea. None. I mean, like the level of creativity that goes into some of these titles of the show. Yeah. Yeah. So anyway, all right. So this week we have news about Dark Horse Entertainment in comics and some cool news there. I personally think it's cool news. And then Spider-Man No Way Home box office. I am not going to stop talking about this. The box office for Spider-Man and why. And
I was about to say, yeah, exactly.
It's been a week. We're not holding back when we talk about it. We're not holding back why we think it's done well. We're just, if you haven't seen it, there's a timestamp in the show notes. If you're watching on YouTube or depending on your podcasting app, you can actually just click and it'll take you right past where that is. Or you can just look at the show notes and scroll past to the right timestamp, and I'm relatively accurate about them. So, but yeah. Anyway, so Merry Christmas, everyone. If you're listening to this, hopefully you had a wonderful Christmas and got all the fun stuff that you wanted and ordered shirts from Flying Pork Apparel and gave everyone an Infamous Podcast shirt. But yeah, anyway, all right, let's just jump right into Dark Horse, because I saw this and I texted it to you at the beginning of the week, and it was very exciting news for me.
Yeah. First of all,
wait, real quick. I just like it's been said on here before, but I'm a huge fan of Dark Horse. There was a book called Colder that came out about, it might be 10 years at this point, that had the creepiest freaking covers ever, but it was such a weird and dark series. I really loved it. Plus they have the Avatar license, and the like kind of quarterly Avatar graphic novels that they do have done an amazing job continuing the story of Aang and the Team Avatar.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I have them all. You can borrow whatever you want.
No, I did not even realize they did that. I probably don't care to check that out in the comic form, just because there's so much other stuff going on.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is actually kind of interesting news. I used to be a Dark Horse guy back in the day. That's actually some of the stuff when I say back in the day, I mean like the 90s. So I've always had Dark Horse comics, like when they did the Alien v Predator stuff. And yeah, I like Dark Horse just because they had that horror vibe especially when I was getting stuff. I know they've expanded a little bit more, just like, the business you should. So this, and again, when you sent me these show notes, I never heard of Embracer Group. So, if you want to start talking about the article, yeah, I did do some digging into them a little bit and see what they were about as far as holdings. And it's actually quite robust what they've been doing the last couple of years.
Yeah, so it's a Swedish. It's a Swedish video game conglomerate, and I love the word conglomerate. That's a great word. And it's expected to close early next year, so probably around the end of Q1, so March. They are 9,000 employees globally. They're touting the untapped potential of the Dark Horse library, and they note 159 of 170 Dark Horse-owned properties have yet to be optioned for film or television shows. Honestly, this deal has happened on the back of Hellboy and Umbrella Academy. and the success that both of those things have shown. That being said, I feel like this is really, really good news for the entertainment side of Dark Horse. I mean, they have The Mask. They had Time Cop back in the 90s, which were, The Mask was a huge hit. Time Cop was great. But they're looking to mine the, what did I say, 159 of the 170 properties into Netflix, Hulu, well, probably not Hulu, Netflix, Amazon, Shudder. I think Shudder is going to be a huge home for Dark Horse stuff. Because that's the horror one, right? I got that right?
Right. Yes.
AMC, I think maybe FX, so maybe Hulu in there a little bit, but I don't know. This just has me excited. Dark Horse CEO Mike Richardson founded the company in 1986, and he's going to remain at the helm along with current management, which I think is super important. They have 181, Dark Horse has 181 employees between Milwaukee, Oregon, or Milwaukee, which is Algonquin for the good land. Wayne's World, right? You've seen Wayne's World.
Yeah.
When they talk
I was just saying how they spell Milwaukee in there.
Milwaukee. And Los Angeles. So they have the publishing side and Dark Horse Entertainment, which oversees the film and television business. And then I did not realize, for whatever reason, I'm sure I knew this and just forgot, but Things from Another World is their merchandising arm. And if you guys have never been to Things from Another World, there is a ton of cool geek shit to buy. So check that out after checking out our shirt store and giving a belated Christmas present to somebody. But yeah, I think I liked Richardson's statement. He said, I've had a number of compelling conversations with Embracer CEO Lars Wingenfors. Great last name. That, like, Lars Wingenfors is a Bond villain name. And he says, I'm very impressed with him and what he and his team have built. I have to say, the future of our company has never looked brighter. So Dark Horse is the number 3 publisher. Anybody who says Images can fuck right off. I mean, Dark Horse has done a great job of having their own stuff plus licensing. Obviously Hellboy helps with that. BRPD helps with that. They had the Star Wars line forever, and it was some of the best expanded universe stuff. There was a great, like, it was kind of the birth of the Jedi, where they were called the Jedi, like with a apostrophe in there and an H. And I think that's where they kind of appropriated the word Jeddah for Rogue One.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, but no, I feel like this is really, really, really good news, not just for Dark Horse, but for the comic book industry. Hopefully they're gonna pay attention to the publishing arm, because it looks like, I mean, based on what they're saying, right? 159 out of 170 owned properties. They understand that the comics are a great way to mine for this IP. But they have to and this is my big question mark. Are they gonna do what Millar did, or what Netflix did to Millar World, where they take something like Jupiter's Legacy and completely get away from what it's about, and add all this stuff that didn't need to be in there, and just try to do their own thing with the idea of the characters? Or are they going to do what The Boys did, where they do make changes with The Boys, but it's still really faithful to that story, without being as graphic as The Boys comic book is?
So yeah, that was my big question, Mark, because again, they are looking, it looks as if they're focusing on that, hey, we have, talent to mine in the sense of the original properties. And I know you said this acquisition is a good thing, but that's my worry is, again, I was just looking up some stuff for Embracer Group, and they've been very busy in acquisitions the last couple of years. Probably the biggest one is Gearbox Software, which is known for games like Duke Nukem and Borderlands series, which are very popular gaming series. They purchased that for a price of a cool $1.3 billion in February, and it got finalized in April. But there was a couple more. But the last year and a half, they've been very busy trying to diversify, And one of the articles that I read about them, they're getting all these different smaller gaming companies that are doing different things. Some are doing the mobile free-to-play apps. Some are doing, like I said, Gearbox. So I do think, based on their profile and their business plan, I don't think they would do the sense of, just focusing on the adaptations.
Right.
Because I do think, from, again, my barely their knowledge, meaning the knowledge I've gotten reading, furiously reading for the last 20 minutes about this company. So,
wow, that is some hardcore research you did there. Now,
so I do think,
to be fair, I did send this story to you on the 21st, so and I didn't send you the show notes until about 30 minutes ago.
Yeah. So again, some of these names of these companies, because again, Embracer used to be Nordic Games, and then it changed to THQ Nordic, which I've heard of that. But a lot of these smaller gaming companies that they did is to diversify, and in contrast to somebody like Electronic Arts, which I have serious issues with EA, and how they handle things.
No respect for what EA does. So
yeah, who focuses on big titles, like just a few big titles. That diversity, and again, what do they say when you're in your stock portfolio? Diversify, and it looks like they're doing that. And I think with that type of game plan, business plan, they won't be the ones to say, you know what, we don't care about the comics, because, like you said, they know that all these properties need to be mined. Well, the only way to mine something is if it's planted there in the first place. And I think, and the fact that, the original creator of Dark Horse is still staying on board. And I think they said the whole management staff or executive staff or something like that is staying with him. That means that they are cognizant of what Dark Horse brings to the table, not just in the sense of adaptations, but in the sense of the comics as well. So I do think Dark Horse that is something like, anytime things like this happen, that's always my concern, because some of these companies, I don't think they don't care about comics, like the whole DC and Marvel thing. I don't think they care about comics.
So I do have an interesting thought, because you know who Kelly Sue DeConnick is, right?
Yeah.
So she's real big on, if you don't like my politics, don't read my comics. Read my books. Anyway, so she did Ghost, and Ghost is one of these books that it's like a horror, like science-y fiction demonic thing. Plus it's got a whole bunch of politics in there, like corruption and things like that. It was only 5 total, or no, I forget how many issues. It went for three trades. So, I mean, we're probably talking about 30 some issues there. It was really good. The art was at least for the first volume, was done by Phil Noto. I'm interested if they're gonna pick that kind of stuff up, because obviously they have The Witcher, Hellboy, Sin City, Umbrella Academy, but I wonder if they're going to take, because there was some relatively woke, quote unquote woke stuff at Dark Horse, and just kind of appease everybody. We're gonna make this female led ghost mystery, paranormal, political drama that's going to be filled with Kelly Sue's politics, and maybe we do it so it's entertaining for everybody. Maybe we do it so it's entertaining for half the people. I don't really see a problem that way, because I'm of the opinion, I'm getting more and more of the opinion after kind of some of the stuff we've watched in the last 3 weeks, is that none of this should be for everyone. If you want to make stuff that's quote unquote woke, right? Do it, but don't get mad when it doesn't make money. If you want to make stuff that's quote unquote conservative, do it, but don't get mad when it doesn't make money. And then when you want to make things that actually appeal to everybody, you get Spider-Man No Way Home.
And this is, but there's also this part too. Oh, then that's a huge thing. But there's also this part. Even if you make it for a certain audience, you don't have to throw dirt in the face of those who don't like it. If you could say, hey, I wrote it with this type of slant, and I know everybody's not going to like it. I hope they give it a chance. and maybe they'll see something in it that they might like, they might not think. And again, I'm not trying, and I know they can't say this because they're doing the exact opposite, but I'm not trying to change anybody's opinion or force my opinions on someone. I'm just trying to tell a story from this particular lens, and I hope it reaches a lot of people. I know it's not going to reach everybody.
Right. I want Mike and Lars coming out of this. I want Mike and Lars to be the adults in the room. Yes. And say, look, we are going to be a full service entertainment company. And we've been going on about this for a little longer than I intended to, but that's okay. We are going to be a full service entertainment company continue with our comics line, continue with, the shows and movies that we have that are successful. Of course, I think David Harbour is really proving to not be a box office draw.
Absolutely not.
Mainly because he sucks.
He's not.
But no, I really hope they're the adults in the room, and they're going to do just what you said. We're going to be like, hey, we're going to make this. We don't care what Twitter says, one way or the other. Like if you're one of these Twitterati who is out there, preaching everyone should do whatever you want them to do or die, then great. This show's for you. Enjoy it. Fuck off. Or hey, we're making something that's going to be like wholesome family values, pride in America, whatever. This is for you. Shut up, Twitter. We don't care what you have to say about this. Fuck off. I think the key is just tell Twitter to fuck off. But
yeah, in every
and yeah, so like, and if you work at Twitter, you're evil. I've come to that conclusion. But I'm super excited for this. I'm excited to see where it goes. I've been a fan of Dark Horse and what Mike has done with the company since 1986, or for me, since probably the late 90s. I was more of a BPRD than Hellboy fan. So
yeah, I still haven't gotten into Hellboy. I mean, I love the Del Toro movies. The 2019 movie was, oh my God.
The thing that Mike Mignola did with Hellboy is super special. And it's well worth going back and reading the early stuff. I mean, you should definitely check it out. I don't know if it's on Comixology Unlimited or not, but if you're interested in checking that out, you can go to our website and get 30 free days. All right, so let's move on to my new favorite topic, the Spider-Man No Way Home box office.
Yeah, seriously.
I could not have been more wrong. I'm owning this, right? I could not have been more wrong. The movie has been out for a week now. Yeah, today's Friday. It came out. Yeah. It came out on 12/17. We're recording this on Christmas Eve, 12/24. It has made $813.9 million through Wednesday. So that's not even the updated for yesterday and what they're projecting for today. It still hasn't opened in China. And it's made $813.9 million overseas. And the overseas cumulative is just $457 million.
That's it. Because you said it still hasn't opened in China.
Right.
Or as we say, China.
It has done $356,531,855. It is 48% of its box office draw. I mean, so between Friday the 17th and December the 27th, I mean, it took a drop. I mean, it went from 121 for that weekend. Oh, for that Friday. Damn, it did $121 million on that Friday.
Lord.
Oh, Jesus. Jesus Christos, if you will. Its opening weekend did 260. When we talked about this last week, it was 254 is what they were projecting. The actuals came in at 260 million and change. And it was on 4,300 screens, which, considering how long this movie is, that's not a lot. If they cut a half hour out of this movie, they can get this on 5,000 screens.
Yeah.
and it's probably already at $1 billion in a week. It's now the second highest, opening of all time, worldwide. Fourth highest, opening weekend, things like that. But it does not seem to be slowing down. I was looking for tickets to go see it again, and there are no good seats available unless you want to go at like 10:30 at night, which I will definitely fall asleep.
So yeah, it seems like this movie heard someone saying, there will not be a $1 billion movie for X amount of time, and it said, you know what, hold our beer.
They're like, fuck you, Brian. Because I said specifically this movie would probably cap out at 600 to 800 million is what I said this would cap out at.
And I wasn't so sure. But my concern, and I mentioned this multiple times, is the continued issues we had seen with the other 3 MCU movies from a quality perspective and from a perspective of people bumping their gums, talking about what this movie is about and what it represents, diversity, inclusion, instead of saying, hey, this is a kick-ass story. I thought that was going to really, especially after the bomb that was Eternals.
But this movie has diversity and inclusion.
Yeah. But
that's the thing.
But guess what they did? Yeah. That you didn't hear actors bumping their gums about it day in and day out and demonizing people who don't necessarily, play to the drumming that they do. That's the thing. I mean, it was more about
Benedict Cumberbatch definitely tried his best. But I don't think he's as big a star as he thinks he is.
Yeah,
I just don't. And I don't think he's as big a star as other people necessarily think he is. Now, he's a part of this gigantic movie. He was a part of the ensemble of the other gigantic Marvel movies that he became a part of. But outside of Doctor Strange, he does not do a lot. And I'm just going to say it. This is a hot take. The first season of Sherlock was great. The second season of Sherlock, 2 out of 3, not bad. Everything after that is Doctor Who, like current Doctor Who level garbage.
Yeah, that's a hot take. I don't necessarily agree with that. I will agree that the second half of after what you're saying was definitely a drop in quality. I don't think people would disagree with that. It's just basically semantics.
If you're being honest,
it's semantics now. Like, I absolutely agree. This, after that, it was I was disappointed. There were good stuff about it, but I was still, after seeing that first season, and again, the second season really for me too.
But
everything else was a disappointment.
I mean, back to this. I mean, we're looking at the top 10 markets through Wednesday. UK 57 million, Mexico 43.9, France. I mean, like, I didn't even realize that France went to movies just because, there's no retreat. 28.7, Korea 28.6, Brazil 26.6. Australia, which is like allegedly locked down. I don't know. I'm not from Australia. I don't give a shit about Australia. 26.3. India, 23.5. Russia, 22.2. Italy, 16.1. And it's a Mia Mario. And then Germany, 15.5. I did not realize Nazis still went to movies. Anyway, this is just crazy. Like, it is crazy what this movie is doing. And they keep talking, it's a pandemic record. It's a pandemic record. Screw you.
No, it's a record.
It is a legit record of box office greatness for a movie that is legitimately great. You gave it an 8.5. I gave it an 8. Those are the 2 of the highest scores we've given a movie since you started on the show.
Oh, absolutely.
I was going back and looking at the ones that I actually wrote down. And I've been making a point, guys, to add our ratings to the show notes. Just for prosperity's sake, so we can get called out on horrific takes down the line. FYI, Matrix Matrix Revelations or whatever shit it's called.
Resurrections.
Resurrections. 1 out of 10. I'm not even kidding. Like the Matrix,
it's really bad.
Is it a top 5 favorite movie for me? They have done everything they can, and this is all I'm going to talk about this. They've done everything they can to degrade the greatness of that original. And I contend if these now 3 sequels did not exist, The Matrix as a standalone film, we're talking to this day how it is the greatest science fiction film of all time. So, all right.
That's all we need to say.
Last tangent there. But when you look at the movies that opened up, what is it? Sing 2 did 12.6 to date, 12.6 million. What did the Kingsmen do? Where'd it go? I thought they had it in here.
Didn't that just open yesterday? No, Wednesday.
No, it opened Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday.
All right, hold on. I'm in the wrong article. But yeah, and then The Matrix opened, which, you know, Warner Brothers got my $16, so I watched it on there. 8 million opening. All right, I'm just gonna go to Box Office Mojo and see what they have. But yeah, I mean, like it is dominating the box office. It's crushing everything out there. Let's see. Yeah, to date, Sing 2, which the first Sing is a really cute, really fun movie. 9.745 million and 15.292 million worldwide. So, you know, it's done more domestic than it did international, but it also is not open in a ton of markets yet. It did open in some markets where its gross is just not really very good. What was the other one? The Matrix. Matrix Resurrections. Let's see. Domestic 6.4 million, international 9.1, worldwide 15 million. So just in comparison there, the actual Matrix, the one true Matrix, if you will, it opened in 1999, keep in mind, to 27.8 million. Its total run was 466. And you have to remember, this movie's campaign was, you cannot be told what the Matrix is. You have to see it for yourself until the movie had been out for 3 weeks. And that's when they started showing scenes from the movie.
Yeah.
It is, to this day, the greatest marketing job. Now, why is Spider-Man... Man, I'm really intense right now. I need to calm down. Why is Spider-Man doing so well?
Well, one is Spider-Man, and I think you said this, is one of the... I think it's one of the 3... He's one of the 3 top recognized fictional characters in comic books.
He's number 3.
Superman, Batman, and Spider-Man.
Superman is number 1, then Batman, then Spider-Man. But I think everybody owes John Campea a bit of an apology, us included. Sorry, John. Still not a fan, but sorry. Those leaks were intentional, and those leaks needed to happen because the Eternals and Shang-Chi and Black Widow got rid of a lot of the goodwill that Marvel had with the MCU. And you have all these like access honks out there like, oh, these are great movies. They're so awesome. I love them. Yeah, you live in your mom's basement. You just want free shit from the studio. That's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So no, it's the fact that they spoiled Charlie Cox, and then they over-delivered on that scene when he caught the brick, which was awesome. And they spoiled the Spider-Man with, you know, Maury and Ezra Spider-Man showing up. with Andrew and Toby showing up. And again, they over-delivered. Toby was amazing as the Elder Statesman Spider-Man. He was amazing. And in my opinion, Andrew Garfield stole every scene that he was in.
Yes.
Every single scene. And he's a good actor. He really is. I know like my biggest issue, and I went back and watched Amazing Spider-Man between last Friday and this Friday. Or no, wait, we recorded on like Tuesday. Actually, I watched it right after we recorded on Tuesday. The review for No Way Home. The Amazing Spider-Man is not a good movie. It's just not. It's just inherently flawed. And it's the biggest divergence from like the traditional Spider-Man origin story, because our Spidey in MCU, the Tom Holland Spidey, does not have a traditional Spider-Man origin story, and he's not the 616 Spider-Man. He never had Uncle Ben. Spoilers. Aunt May gave the great power and great responsibility line. In Amazing Spider-Man, Martin Sheen, he didn't even say with great power comes great responsibility. It's like, your dad had a philosophy that when people can do good things, they're expected to give back good. It's like, shut up, just say great. Do the line. Say the line. Say it. Just say it. But no, I mean, like I said, this is my favorite topic, and anytime someone brings it up, I just go whole ham on them about like why this is happening and why it's so great. This is horrible for Hollywood. This is horrible for Hollywood as a whole.
Yeah, all we've heard this last year with box office is that it's because of what's going on. And people are scared to go to the movies. Studios are closed. And look, in some respects, I can understand it, especially early on. This, not now. Like this whole year, 2021, when you were talking about 2020, when half the country was closed, and then certain theaters were, I can get that. But 2021, no. If you make a good movie that people want to see, and we've been saying this for pretty much this last 12 months, if they make good movies that people want to see, people are going to go see it. Full stop. People are going to go see it. And this just proves that point.
Yep.
That people will go see good things. So, and again, I've mentioned the MCU movies, but it's not just the MCU movies. It's stuff like James Bond movies. That James Bond movie should have been, people should have been flocking to see it. But what happened? James Bond, again, the last couple movies have gone down in quality, one, and then you start hearing the stuff behind the scenes of them talking about what they're trying to do.
Everything you need to know about the James Bond movie was in the promotional shot where the lady who played Maria Rambeau in Captain Marvel was on the motorcycle, and she was driving, and James Bond is on the back with his arms around her.
Yes.
Holding on for dear life. That's everything you need to know in one single shot about the treatment of James Bond in that movie.
Correct.
So, plain and simple. All right, let's close this one out. So keep going, Spidey. Get to 1 billion. Prove me wrong. This is the first time I've ever been like happy to be like so wrong on something.
Yeah, we will eat a nice plate of crow. Just please put barbecue sauce on it.
I'd like. I had wings with spicy teriyaki last night, and I've never had spicy teriyaki before. I would like that. So good. All right, Hawkeye. We got the finale series. I do not know. They have not told us what this is. This is Christmas, directed by Rhys Thomas, written by showrunner Jonathan Igla and Elisa Climent. Obviously released on Wednesday, the 22nd. So you guys know Rhys Thomas directed the pilot and episode 2. Jonathan wrote episode 1. Elise wrote episode 2. So they were the kind of team. And then episodes 3 through 5 were directed by Barton and Bishop. And they were written by just a host of different writers. You had Kate Mathewson and Tanner Bean writing episode 3. Aaron Cancino and Heather Quinn writing episode 4. And then Jenna Noel Frazier writing episode 5. I am going to say the Barton and Bishop episodes were the best.
I was going to say that too.
For me,
like it's just...
Yeah. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's interesting you said that, because when you were talking about that Rhys directed episodes, you say 1 and 2, and the same writing team was like, the same writing directing team has been in 1, 2, and 6.
Yep.
And for me, they are, and I don't want, they're my least favorite episodes. And I'll get into this. And again, I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying it wasn't as good. It didn't capture me like episodes 3, 4, and 5 did.
So for me, episode 4 is my favorite episode of the series, and the cold open to episode 5 with Yelena showing up with the blip. And
I go back and forth between episodes 4 and 5. I mean, I really enjoyed both of those.
Yeah.
And this one, again, I like what we got, but considering how 3, 4, and 5 for me continued to get bad, like raise the bar.
Yep.
From what we started with, I have to admit I was a little bit disappointed with this finale.
I'm not gonna say I was disappointed in the finale because we got some stuff and we were actually wrong. I was actually wrong again, admitting to being wrong again. And I think I think that the Thomas, Igla, Climent team did not put the same amount of care into the Clint and Kate relationship. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And again, like I said, there were a couple moments I really liked with them, but it just didn't have the strength of, because I love what, like her, again, the little treasure that Haley Steinfeld is, her reaction when Clint says we're partners.
Yep.
I'm not going to abandon you now.
Yeah.
I love that. I, liked, at the end, and again, spoilers, by the way.
Yeah, by the way, spoilers. Just FYI. Just assume.
Yeah. I like what we get at the final scene with them, or just that final kind of like epilogue. It wasn't even epilogue, but just that final cut of at the family farm and everything like that.
The runtime with this one was 61 minutes, which was about 20 minutes longer or about 15 minutes longer than any of the other episodes. Of course, Disney's got 43 minutes of credits, so there's that. But I did like this episode for bringing everything together. You had the LARPers, you had the Tracksuit Mafia, which apparently had a recruiting drive at some point in between episodes 5 and 6. You had Kingpin show up. You had the answer that spoilers. His wife is Mockingbird.
Yes.
So the watch was the Shield logo, and it had Agent 19, which is Bobby. So she's going by Laura. So anyway, whatever. She's in hiding. I get it. I smell what she's cooking. But I think actually what I think would be interesting if she was like Bobby's sister, and Bobby's dead. Not that Bobby's not. Anyway, I'll say this. There were just a couple sticking points for me. One, there's no way Kate Bishop survives one punch from Kingpin.
Yeah.
Not one. He punches through her because a bunch of LARPers made her costume. So it's not like, a Spider-Man nanotech, whatever.
Or dragon skin armor or something like that.
It's not what the dude Cole from like the legit plot armor he grew in Mortal Kombat. It's not even that. Like her plot armor was so thick during that scene. And I don't think they did a bad job showing how she got out of that situation, because she was able to use the smarts that we've seen that she's had. Kate Bishop in this series was never a Mary Sue. They went out of their way to tell us how great she was, and we got to see it as it went on and on and on. But when she fought the Tracksuit Mafia in episode 1, she took very little damage. She was barely hurt. She fell through a skylight and just got a couple cuts on her face. Barely hurt. She took a full-on Kingpin punch to the chest, and his hand did not come out the other side. It's just, and Kingpin is not one to pull punches. I loved everything they did.
He did rip a car door off.
Right.
A door off of a car.
Right.
So.
And they showed him doing that. I loved Kingpin in this. Spoilers at the end, Echo shoots him He's not dead. He's going to be blind. They're going to do a Daredevil Shadowland story. I guarantee it. I will bet Darryl's life on this, that they will do a Daredevil Shadowland with the blind Kingpin. And, you know, if they don't, Darryl, I'll miss you.
Wow. After admitting twice on this podcast you were wrong, you'll bet my life on this one.
This is not the first time I bet your life on something. So, I like my life. I don't want to bet myself. You're just some guy at the other end of a microphone now. I mean, if you came in more often, maybe there'd be more of a personal connection.
Wow. Jeez.
Anyway, the other nitpick I had was the never ending quiver of arrows that Clint and Kate had when they were fighting the 462,807 Tracksuit Mafia douchebags.
Yeah.
It was like that scene from the Matrix when all the second Matrix,
Agent Smith,
when all the Smiths come pouring out, and then they're all like me. Yeah, it was just, and then Yelena trying to kill Clint. I don't think she would have savored the kill like that. I think she would have just killed him and moved on. And not giving him the chance to do the whistle.
Well, this is the thing. I think they didn't do a good enough job earlier on pointing this out. So when she talks to, was that episode 4 when she, or episode 5? Episode 4 when she talks to Kate. Yeah, it's episode 5 when she talks to Kate, and Kate's like, "Hey, he was like good friends with," and then she ends up going and finding out that Kingpin, that Eleanor, Bishop, and Kingpin are in cahoots.
Right.
They didn't. When she left that conversation, it looked like she was hell-bent on killing Clint. Mm-hmm. Nothing would have told me she's gonna, hey, let's do some. I'm gonna do some recon on who hired me.
Right.
They could have done a better job of even showing us a quick look at her face, kind of mulling things over, but they didn't do that. And so I think that little, I guess, earworm that Kate put in her, that's why
maybe
maybe that, again, I think they could have done a better job showing her being conflicted about it.
Yeah. I will say this.
So
if they continue Hawkeye as a series with Kate Bishop, Florence Pugh had better be her. Like they can redeem Virtue Signal and the Neutered Soldier by doing Hawkeye and Black Widow with Yelena Belova as the Black Widow, and just their conversations, them fighting each other. Like this would be amazing. And Florence Pugh is, again, super likable. I don't know if you've watched Fighting with My Family. She's awesome.
Yes. Oh, I love that movie. I love her in that.
She actually is nothing looks nothing like Paige. But
no, she doesn't.
You know, and they used Zelina Vega as AJ Lee, which was weird. And like stand-ins for Charlotte and Sasha Banks, but did not call them. Sorry, going down a rabbit hole. That would be such a great series of them like going after like, you know, Val. Like, why did you do this?
Stop making me like you.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a perfect. Did you do
that? Did you do that on purpose?
Yes.
Yes. No.
That would be an amazing series.
I mean, one, Haley's delivery is so almost as perfect as it can be for the comedic timing, for everything that she does. And then I feel like I don't know how many of her own stunts that she did. So I'm going to say this. The character of Kate Bishop, the physicality was super believable. If it's Haley Steinfeld doing the actual fighting and things like that. If it's not, kudos to this production team throughout this entire series of making it look like she did the yeoman's work of the stunts.
Yeah. So another issue I had, and this is not just this episode, but this entire series. I mentioned how Maya slash Echo, I didn't like her at first, and I did grow to be interested in that character, especially last episode, a lot. My problem, though, is they treated her like Carly from Falcon and the Winter Soldier in this sense. She has been aligned with Kingpin for God knows how long. Meaning that the Tracksuit Mafia and her, who she was leading, along with Kaz, they were into some bad stuff. So she turns on Kingpin because she finds out he killed her father, and now we're supposed to be on board with her. And again, I know there's going to be a series, and maybe this series helps me with this. Helps me see her as more of a hero as she tries to make amends for the things she did. But this series did not do a good job of, hey, she's a bad guy.
She's a very bad guy.
Very bad guy. And they tried it because she turns on someone worse than her. We're supposed to be okay with what she did.
Yeah, that's just the whole Hollywood doesn't understand heroes.
Yeah, and this is exactly like Carly, how Carly was ready to kill innocent people. And yet Falcon is holding her like she's some sort of a hero or some sort of a martyr.
I think that says more about the misunderstanding of Sam Wilson than it does about Carly, the flag smasher, quote unquote.
Yes, I would absolutely agree with that. Yeah.
So honestly, I think I almost think you can't call this like Hawkeye versus Virtue Signal and the Neutered Soldier even the same like universe of MCU. The people who did this actually watched the MCU movies.
I would, yes.
Malcolm, what's his name? Who did Spellman, thank you. I always want to say like Spellberg or something weird like that. Malcolm Spellman knows nothing about the MCU Sam Wilson. Nothing. He can say he does all day long. He knows nothing. He did not watch Captain America Winter Soldier. Did not watch it. No. Did not see like the fact what drove Sam. Did not understand the fact that Sam is a highly paid government contractor at this point and would not need a loan, and added that as a virtue signal and dog whistle. 100%.
Yes.
And borderline that dude is racist.
Yes.
And then with the flag smashers, go ahead and make your allegory for Black Lives Matter. That's fine. Like, what you've done by doing that is saying Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. Plain and simple. I'm not saying they are or they aren't. I'm saying that is the message that you sent with that show. Not this show. This show was great. I will say, Jonathan Igla, as the showrunner, you did a great job putting together a team of writers, because when we say episodes 1, 5, and 6, I'm sorry, 1, 2, and 6. 1, 2, and 6 are, not as good as 3, 4, and 5. That is not saying they're bad episodes. I mean, other than the pilot, but the pilot is always a bad episode. Show me a pilot
that's with anything.
That's good.
There are very few. Very few.
Supernatural, Sports Night. Those are the only two I can typically think of.
Well, would you count 33 as a pilot?
Yes, I would actually, because I didn't watch the miniseries until season 1 was over, because I had been boycotting sci-fi because of Farscape. I've told you that story.
Yeah.
How I just randomly turned on 33, the Battlestar Galactica premiere, and then I was like, okay, I guess all is forgiven. The other thing about this episode is Jack. Jack was amazing. Jack was amazing. What's the actor's name? Tony Dalton as Jack Duquesne. Duquesne. Sorry.
Okay.
Dude, I like Duquesne. He was great when he found out what Eleanor had done and the way he stepped up to help Kate, because he genuinely cared about Kate. The red herring of him like being after her money and the red herring of like Kate can't trust him really was paid off very, 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 very well in the finale. And the fact that he was swashbuckling his way through Tracksuit Mafia douchebags.
That's such a Jack thing.
Was like it's everything that we learned about that character was culminated in the last half hour of the season. And well done to everybody involved. From Tony Dalton to the directors and the writers and the way they shot him and all of that. And then the fact that he is probably joining the New York City LARPers just tickles me pink.
Yes, I love that character. Again, that first episode was rough, but and it was a cheesiness to it and him.
Yeah.
That played, like for him especially, it played out through the rest of the series, and I loved. Again, there's cheese that's good and there's cheese that's bad. There was some bad cheese in this episode, but there was also a lot of good cheese and camp. Yeah, that's the thing about this. I think there was a little too much camp, especially when you were talking about the endless cycle. So
I'm gonna disagree just a little bit, right? Because the camp is necessary because they were not afraid to make this a comic book series. This is 100% a series based on a comic book. It did better. Sorry, Matt. It did better than this. This lands for me way better than the comic did because of Haley, because of Jeremy. Oh no, I'm not. No, what I'm saying about the camp is I say there's a little too much. Okay, I'm not saying that they didn't need it. I said there's a little too much, and the endless cycle of the Tracksuit Mafia. That was one of those scenes that I think they should have pared down just a little bit. We always talk about movies, how they could cut things out or cut things down, not necessarily out. I thought that was a little much. But to your point, I mean, you have a guy with a bow and arrow going against guys with guns. Yeah. Obviously, there's going to be you have to make it in a sort of camp way, right. And that's what part of the thing that made the series believable and allowed me to fall into it. Yeah,
it targeted my expectations early on. Yeah, and it kept those. Because sometimes shows get too real when they start off campy, and then vice versa, and then they try to go back to the original aspect of it, and they lose it. This one kept that camp and cheese throughout. It's just sometimes it didn't work. Most of the time, it did.
And considering they were in a kill box with the low ground, don't try it, Anakin. I have the high ground. We all know high ground is the greatest superpower a villain or hero could ever have. Unless you're Obi-Wan Kenobi, then the high ground is meaningless. You're just a badass. Ask the top half of Darth Maul. He misses his bottom. Like, where did the bottom half go? Well, I don't know. How does he poop? Nobody told me. But I'm in a mood today. I'm 100% in a mood. I'm so snarky right now. I apologize. If you guys don't like me being this snarky, please let me know and I'll tone it down. I will show restraint. I'll have plenty of restraint for the next part. But anyway, so just for me, the last thing. I think with the end credit scene, I'm deducting an entire point from this episode.
For shame.
An entire
button. I'm hitting the button right now.
How dare you?
There.
Thank you.
So, wait. One, you keep texting me that goddamn line, and the song is stuck in my head now.
Dude, that was in my head all day yesterday.
And when I see you again, I am choking you out. I'm going to come at you. I'm going to take you down. I'm going to turn you over, and I'm going to choke you out.
You should make that your ringtone.
No. Dude, my ringtone is Adam Cole, baby. It's all about the boom.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
Boom.
I'm taking a entire point away.
I no, 100%. So out of 5 never-ending quivers right now, mine is a 3.5. No, I 100%. An entire point was deducted for that because it was stupid and unnecessary.
You didn't have to watch it.
I was hoping something was going to happen, like they were all going to dust really away.
Or the building fall on them.
I was going to say something really horrible, but I'm not going to.
Oh, man, you're in a mood.
Yeah.
So out of the five endless Quivers?
Yeah, out of 5 never-ending Quivers.
Yeah, I actually do give it a 3.5. Now, we're going to do the rating for the series as a whole as well?
Oh, I forgot about the series for the whole. So you're doing a 3.5 as well, huh?
So yeah, I'm doing a 3.5. It just wasn't as solid. And again, I still enjoyed it a lot, and it just was a little bit less than the last couple episodes. It just didn't hit all the notes. It hit a lot of the notes for me, just not everything.
Yeah. Hold on. It was 10. Okay, so out of 10, so Hawkeye season 1, out of 10 Kate and Yelena team ups, what do you give this?
I give it an 8 because it was a lot of synergy in the sense of the individual episodes just, because the first 2 episodes were okay, but the individual episodes just continued to build on the story and the tone. They kept the tone throughout, that same, campy tone with the serious undertones of what is going on with what Hawkeye lost, of Clint lost, in the sense of Natasha.
Yeah.
It kept a strong tone, even if every episode wasn't great. I think the series itself, and I can't stress this enough, it was one of the most pleasant surprises for me for the 2021 year because of the disappointments we've had the last few series on Disney Plus. This was such a welcome for me in the sense of it being good, it being fun, and again, can't stress enough how important I think Haley Steinfeld can be to the MCU going forward.
Yes, agree. So I go 7.5 out of 10. Like you, I thought the through lines for this season were great. I almost think the Echo storyline didn't need to be there if you were going to since you were bringing Black Widow in, and Echo would have been, because if they're going to make her a hero, right, would have been better to introduce as someone who had something to reckon with that wasn't quite the, I'm going to forgive you for killing my dad because Kingpin told you to do it. And because Kizzy, or whatever his name was, set my dad up,
Right.
I don't know. I didn't care for the character of Echo, really at all. I think it was just an insert that did not necessarily need to happen, and it took away from Kate and Clint really bonding, and we could have gotten more Yelena out of it without that storyline. I think the Tracksuit Mafia could have stayed, or should have stayed, because they were a fine like name. They should have been a nameless, faceless organization that Kingpin was controlling without their knowledge.
Yeah, that could have been fine, and you could have kept Kazi as Kazi as
as the head, or as the he should have wore a gold tracksuit and everybody else should have wore red.
Yeah, that'd been pretty.
That would have just been funny. It would have made me laugh. All right, so good job everybody on the series. I think as a whole, this was only the second successful MCU TV Disney Plus series. All right,
I would agree with that.
The Expanse.
Force projection.
Dude, we are halfway through the season, and
damn,
I could not be more excited about the way they used the space battles. And I was waiting for this because of the way it was described in the book. When the Pella and the other 2 Free Navy ships have decided to go hunt the Rocinante, and we'll talk about everything else, but I have to talk about this first because this was amazing. This is the best space battle. They like the like real life space battles, like using gravity and force and inertia and thrust. Nobody does this better than the Expanse. But the way they kept flipping the Roci to shoot the railgun was great. And I was waiting. This is why I wanted Bobby on the ship. This is where we miss Alex, because this would have been an Alex special. And it kind of was a little weird that James knew how to do this. But also he's a pretty great tactician, strategy guy anyway. But they're being chased, and he flips the Roci to fire the railgun. And as it's firing, he flips it back, and they keep running. And it was, again, like the plot armor is strong on the Roci. Like, her shields are always at 100%, even though they don't have shields in this world. But then when Bobby comes up and she's like, give me manual control. And he looks at her for a second and he's like, oh shit. Yeah. I'm doing this. You're getting control. And she immediately recognizes the pattern, and she verifies it before she does anything. And I'll never forget in is it Sibylla Byrne? Where this Sibylla Byrne was where this book took place. Yeah. They were so focused on the railgun, the Marco and the Pella, and they were so focused on the missiles, on the torpedoes. And because he's not actually a military leader, the Pella got taken out by the bullets. And it is, I don't know who Ty and Daniel consulted with about that, but I mean, that is just some next level strategy shit that like makes it. It adds to the legend of Bobby Draper and why Bobby being on Earth in Luna as a lapdog for Chrissy was really stupid. And when Amos told her, I wonder about this about Chrissy, and she says, the old lady hates that. And he says, yeah, but at least I say it to her face. Yeah. That was that right there is character development. That right there is two characters who have a begrudging respect for each other. And one is an open book, and the other is trying to have some level of decorum, even though she doesn't want to.
Yeah, I love that scene. Well, one, I love that scene with them, that back and forth they have together. But the fight scene, the space battle, that was one of those holy shit moments, because you are absolutely right. Anytime they do space battles in this show, it's just incredible. Not only just the way that everything moves around, but just the cinematography of getting these shots, getting these perfect angles to make everything look just right. That first time he fired the railgun, it was one of those holy shit moments. I was just like, that looks so sweet.
It was described so well in the book, right? Just so well. Not like George R. Martin, like describing an areola, but like the way this was described in the book, it was like, I cannot wait to, I like picture it in my head. I see it. It's awesome. And talk about over delivering, right?
Yes.
Like this makes me want to like be able to go fly spaceships in space. Like, do you remember the show Space Above and Beyond?
Yes.
Like they did this same thing where like the ship would like flip, but they wouldn't lose their, their trajectory. Like they would still like be going the opposite, they'd be going the one way and flip the ship and still be going at the same speed and everything because of, zero friction in space, and be firing from, the person behind them with their forward guns. But yeah, it was just so awesome.
Yeah, I thought that was incredible. And I just like you said, like it's like setting up in a fight. You're feigning to set up something, and that's exactly what Bobby did. It's like they're always breaking left or dodging left.
Was it left or right? Okay, I thought she said they always dodged.
It was left.
Oh right, okay.
It was left.
I got to change something.
Yeah, yeah,
but yeah.
And I thought that's exactly what happens in a fight. They call it setting traps, and that's exactly what she did. She's like, okay, so they're going to dodge this way, so let me throw some stuff at them And yeah, I mean, it was great.
Yeah.
It was just so well done.
Mm-hmm. So well done. You know, we got the first glimpse of Monica's videos of people on Earth and people on the belt, and we got to see Anna talking about what was happening in sub-Saharan Africa, where she lives with her daughter and wife. That was great. We got Prax.
Oh yes.
You know, Prax showing up, and like we talked about this last week about how Anna and Prax, their storylines were cut to, you know, just the bare minimum to make time for everything. Perfect use of both characters. Perfect use.
Yes.
Anna is down there doing what Anna does in helping. You know, and Elizabeth Mitchell, I thought was a great casting choice for that. I was, you know, I was excited to see what happened there. And then with Prax, you know, sharing the information about how to create food, which Marco set up a situation where he destroyed all the water tanks and food from Ceres once the UN and Martian navies got there, which was another just spectacular visual effect.
Yes.
Just
that was great.
Amazing. It was so good. Like you see where the money is going for this.
100%.
We had a great Peaches scene where Holden's like, I need to sleep. You need to take over. And she's like, I've never flown anything this big before. And he's like, the Rossi will do the work by itself.
And they had an important moment too,
yeah.
because in there, not just because again, last episode he accepted her and she's a part of the crew. Peaches is a part of the crew. That was the name of the podcast episode.
Yes, sir.
Last week. But where she tells him about, I got these enhancements.
Yeah, she was talking about the mods because she gets up and she stumbles because she's struggling, recovering.
And she talks about how the first person she killed, she sees him every time. She uses it, and she's like, maybe I think that might be why I get sick every time.
Right.
And she's talking about regret, and he has such a great line. He's like, everyone on this ship has something they regret, including Amos. Yeah. I think, and they both kind of smiled at that. He's like, right. You're in good company.
Yeah.
And if there's any doubt she was a part of, he said it last week, but that was that moment that they needed, just the two of them.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love the back and forth between them. Great job by both actors.
Yeah. And again, they're showing us this, right? They're not just telling us. They're showing us how he is doing this. I will say, like, I don't know how I feel about like Naomi being the one solving like the Dutchman thing. Just because it was such a huge point of emphasis in the books for Jim to do that. And it's what leads to Jim being captured. Right?
Right.
Are they going to capture Naomi at the end? I think that's a really bad choice because of what happens to Jim in the completing trilogy.
I don't think they would, because that, again, this isn't like one of those either ors. You make this change, and I don't think they would do that. Even though she did, see the pattern, I think they're going to have Jim still kind of, because again, she says there's a pattern, but she can't quite tell what's going on. But I still think it's going to land in Jim's lap, and because there's a fundamental change in the characters if you switch them up who gets captured. Right. I mean, it's a fundamental change in their arc in those last three. And again, we know this is we're not getting Expanse season 7 next year.
Right.
Well,
if ever.
Let's
just we don't know. Which made the end really kind of weird when they brought out the Laconian warship.
Right. And considering we have only 3 episodes left.
So
this kind of makes me nervous in how they're going to finish it. Just again, I was on board last week after last week's episode. Yeah. I really enjoyed this week's episode, but is that just that last part with the Laconian, is that the Magenta class starship?
Yeah.
seeing that, which again, we only got a quick glance, but it looked
Beautiful
pretty damn
ship.
sweet.
Beautiful ship.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure with 3 episodes left how we're going to wrap this up.
Yeah, I feel like that should have been like an epilogue of it coming off one of the tree moons at Laconia. Like, look at this badass ship. Because just kind of a book spoiler, and I'm pretty sure this is how they're going to go, is they're going to trip one of the gates to make a bunch of ships go Dutchman. And with Laconians in the ring space, with that particular ship, with Medina Station under the control of the Free Navy, that'll be interesting. I also liked the drum. Like, see, now this week the drummer scene was good because it was short and she was building her navy to go help against Marco.
Mm-hmm. And
that's all. Like, everything for drummer should be leading up to her going after the Free Navy. We didn't need anything with the Michio thing and stuff like that. I feel like that was a distraction. But yeah, it was. This is one of the better science fiction shows on television, and I know not everybody likes it, and you know, I know I'm probably, being a book reader of this series, I definitely probably give it more bias towards the positive. But they just do such a good job with the small details and the craftsmanship of what they do that you can't help but feel you're living in their world. And everything there feels lived in. Like, if you look at the videos they took down about like the Galaxy Cruiser from Star Wars, right? Everything they showed about that hotel looked and felt fake. And
it absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things that, like, you can't be completely inauthentic. You have to have some sort of authenticity. And in this case, because it's like, you know, 1,000 years in the future or 500 years in the future, I don't remember what it is.
500.
500. They've created, they have created an authentic, lived-in experience for now 4 different classes of human. You have the Earthers, you have the Martians, you have the Belters, and now you have the Laconians. And we're seeing just a glimpse of the Laconians. And we'll close with this Strange Dog tie-in. But yeah, I just everybody, there's so much care, there's so much respect for the source material. You know, even with Ty Frank being Ty Frank, that it's so refreshing to see.
Yes, I agree. And it's the production staff. This is one of the things that doesn't, in general, I don't think gets enough credit, where your point is spot on in the sense of having things feel like they're lived in.
And it's because they're real.
Everything
they're real.
Every
sets.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that makes a huge difference. Instead of having everything, you know, computer generated, looking too clean.
Yeah.
And I just love what this show has done. It generally, when it generally takes liberties, it usually makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost always hits. And, you know, there's things here and there, like anything, it's not going to be perfect. But the way it adapts the source material, the way it does when it has to truncate a story,
right?
It's generally do such a bang up job of taking the most important elements, keeping the themes, while at the same time having to cut things up, like you said, the Prax and the way they use Prax and Anna in this episode. We knew you knew that, well, first, because it was 6 episodes, they couldn't do everything.
Right.
And as important as that is in the books, like seeing Anna go through the rubble and all the stuff that she's doing, or instead of seeing what Prax is doing with his family, we weren't going to get that.
Right.
But in such a small segment of their story they give us, but it tells so much, and
it's super
keeps
powerful.
That tone. Yes. And that is not an easy job. Most of the time when I see creators do this, for adaptations and they have to truncate a small part of the story, they usually don't do a good job of. Right. And that's just, it's just because it's not easy to do. Even with good storytellers, that's not always easy to do.
Right.
So I always marvel at just the combination of character and story development and mixed with the visuals, not just of the space battles, which are fantastic, but also that whole feeling like we're seeing several different types of cultures play out before us and try to mingle with one another. It's phenomenal.
Yep. 100%. I think you look at this versus Game of Thrones and Gurm not finishing the books and the Double D's having to fanfic their way out of that. Whereas, this is a completed series. Now, I know the last book just came out a month ago. But it is a completed series. And the fact that the original writers of the books stayed on as part of the creative team and didn't have any sort of ego falling out or anything like that shows the difference. And, I think they're also so fan friendly, they really are. And I know there's a large population of people out there who are just kind of like, I just like the Expanse TV show because I like it. I don't know about the books or the actors' personal lives and things like that. And why it sucks that they got rid of Kaz and Alex. Like, they did something that shows don't do, is they gave the character reverence. And we saw this. And I think when you were talking about the scene between Jim and Clarissa, they gave reverence to her goal was to kill him. And now he knew this, right? Like, he knew she was trying to kill him. He didn't necessarily know why she wanted, or that he was, target number one, and she killed other people along the way to try and get to him, which I'm sure does not help his regret complex. But she just that scene there, it was again super powerful, super just the way to be, like way to tell a story. All right, so out of 5 shots to the left, what do you give this one?
I give this one a 4. It did pretty much everything right. I'm still that last part, and again, it's that last part with the Laconia Magenta class cruiser that gave me pause, just because it adds something that I don't think was necessary or not at the right time with, and just a little bit, not a lot, but just a tiny bit more apprehensive as to 3 episodes left. How are we going to cut this down? And I should have a little bit more faith, considering, like I just said, with Prax and Anna, they slashed their whole story arc. Yeah, but the way they were able to get that small snippet for each should give me the courage, or it should give me the confidence that they'll be able to do it with this. Yep. It was just one of those things that I wasn't sure of. I did take away. And one more thing, I forget, we didn't mention it. I love that confrontation between Philip and Marco. It reminded me of All the Right Moves when Craig, what's his name, the coach,
Craig T. Nelson,
told Rifleman Craig T. Nelson told Rifleman he quit because he fumbled the ball. Right. And Tom Cruise's character say, no, he didn't quit, you quit. And that Philip calling him out in front of everybody, because again, Rosenfeld told him, she told Marco, we don't need to do this. Yeah. And Marco's ego got in the way of everything.
I mean, that's how the Pella got shot up, and and then they had to retreat. And I mean, Marco is not a military leader. All right, so closing out the Strange Dog section with Kara on Laconia. And see, this is why they should not have shown that ship, because those stations have just been turned on.
Yeah.
Right. And anyway, so Zan is killed in this episode. She gets Mama Bird and the drone back from the dogs. So it was a really good. So Zan got run over by a reindeer, also known as a soldier's motorcade. Well, you got to throw the Christmas cheer into it. God, that was dark. Anyway,
throw Krampus in there while you're at it.
Why not? Like, Krampus is coming for you. You broke the drone. It doesn't matter that you fixed it or the dogs fixed it. We saw 2 dogs this time. That was great. And I feel like this is the only Laconian thing we should have seen, and we should get Duarte next week. Because of how that story goes, and that's the introduction to Duarte, and it doesn't really matter who plays him. And then, that the Zan and Kara running off into the Laconian woods, which is how that story ends, with everybody looking for them. And then you follow up in the in the sequel series. We'll just call it a sequel series. With what happens, and
yes.
But again, I think this is the problem with picking such young kids to play the parts when they were Zan was definitely younger, but Kara was a little bit older, and she still has to age a little bit because of the proto-molecule and things like that. But yeah, they're doing a great job just containing that to the stinger to open the show.
Right.
So anyway, cool. You got anything else?
No, just hope everyone has had a wonderful Christmas.
Yes.
And you got all the little goods and odds and ends, and we're able to spend some great time with family and our friends to celebrate Christmas.
So yeah, Darryl got me a sweet little what are they called, tech deck skateboard set.
Yeah,
just because I have a Santa Cruz one on my desk already, which I had that skateboard. So, and I got Darryl a really nice book.
Yeah.
Hey, it's informative. It will protect you.
Yeah.
So.
When I first saw the cover, I thought it was The Art of Self-Defense, and I couldn't help but think of the movie.
Oh, no. But that would be great, too. That's a great movie. All right. Merry Christmas, everyone. Belated Merry Christmas, because this is obviously coming out the day after Christmas. So if you're listening to this, why aren't you hanging out with your family?
Hang out with your family and listen to this.
Actually, listen to this with your family. Just make sure there's no kids around, because I apologize for all the cursing in this episode. I'm going to have to mark this one as explicit. All right. Have a great one, and we will be back next week. Bye.
See ya.